Oh, TikTok. Okay, there we go. Hi, everybody. Welcome to our Thursday, our 4th day of Hop University.
Yes.
We apologize. We're a little bit late today, as usual.
We've been running around like chickens with our heads cut
We really
off
have.
all day.
We have. Olivia yesterday was busy with the dry order because it happened to come at 2 o'clock. And then our frozen order came right at 2 o'clock, and we couldn't leave our frozen food sitting out. So we had to work as quick as possible to put away all the frozen stuff.
We got it in the freezer in less than 7 minutes.
Wow, we did.
It was pretty impressive.
Yeah, it was pretty impressive. Might there be mistakes on the inventory? I don't know. We'll double check when we get back.
We'll have to go over everything.
We've been crazy today. Running around with our heads cut off, but we are here. We are in the zone. We are ready for class. Day 4 today of Hop University. I'm very excited for today.
I am too.
We spent kind of the last 3 days leading up to day 4 and 5. You and Nicole talked about what is Kibble, what the heck are we talking about during the week.
Anyone who watched on Monday knows that Nicole and I said the word informed 976 times in the span of half an hour. It was a Monday.
But, we're informing you guys. We're
Exactly.
We're going to keep informing
saying
you
it.
guys. And then on Tuesday, Nicole and I talked all about... It was Nicole and I.
Yes.
Yes, it was Nicole. Oh my gosh. I'll get it right eventually. We talked about the different choices that you'll see on the pet food shelves. What's the difference between a breed specific and a size specific food? Is there a difference between puppy, adult, and senior, and kitten, adult, and senior recipes? What the heck? Can my dog eat cat food? Can my cat eat dog food? What's this whole grain-free, grain-inclusive business? We talked all about that. Then yesterday we went through the what grade is my kibble. We walked through how to figure out if you're feeding a grade A, B, C, D, or F food. We want to be feeding that grade A kibble, so I did the open farm whitefish. I don't see Manda Bear yet. When I see Amanda Bear come in to the chat, I looked it up, and the open farm whitefish is cod. So they do specify on their website that when they say whitefish, they're specifically talking about cod. On their website, you can go in.
Good to know.
Yes. You can go into the recipes and click see full ingredient list. They tell you exactly what fish, in this case cod, and where it was caught. And I believe it said United States beside the whitefish cod. So when I see Manda Bear, pop back in, or if Manda Bear has listened to this, give me a thumbs up knowing that I answered your question. But yeah, sorry I didn't have the answer right away, but I found it. So I'm pretty proud of myself for digging into that. But yeah, last 3 days we've been kind of building up to day 4, all about transitioning.
The next 2 days everyone's stuck with us.
Yes.
Which means we're going to get off topic.
Oh yeah.
A lot.
Oh yeah. Olivia's not here to keep us on track. Nicole's not here to keep us on track. It's
just us.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun day. It's going to be great.
Yeah. We're going to talk about 800 other things.
Yeah, definitely.
And we'll get to transitioning at some point in the conversation.
Yeah. So hopefully you have your workbooks. If you don't have your workbook, you can go online, get the workbook for free, especially if we're talking too fast or we get off topic. You can keep track in here. We have the videos from Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday uploaded to our YouTube channel. So if you don't want to start on day 4 and you want to start on day 1, you can go back and watch day 1, 2, and 3. And then tonight, after we're done today, I'll have day 4 uploaded as well. So you can grab your workbook on our website. You can watch on our YouTube channel the last 3 days. But kind of now that we have a foundation, now that we know what the heck is a kibble, what are we talking about? We've talked about choices. What am I actually looking at when I'm looking at that bag? We have a little journaling section where you can talk about what your pet is, kind of go over, I have a senior pet, so I want to focus on this, and what are my goals? So that yesterday you could look at your bag, see what grade it is, and maybe you graded not an A and you're thinking, you know what, I kind of want to upgrade my kibble. I want to go for a grade A food, and you've maybe looked at the options, you have an option you want to transition to, but now you're like, okay, how do I do this? I don't know how to transition my pet, or in the past I've tried and failed, but we are here today with some tips and tricks and useful hacks that you can use.
Inside information.
Yes, insider info on how to transition your pet from one kibble to another kibble. But yeah, follow along on here. I think we'll start with our little transition card. We typically give out a little cheat sheet transition card that goes through the 7 days of a transition from old to new food.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of our general guide, kind of our. I don't know.
And it's definitely just a guide.
Yes,
it's a guideline. Yeah. It's what we have found works. But everyone's dog is different.
Yeah.
Some dogs get the new food and are like, "Pooh, don't want this old food anymore," and they'll only eat the new stuff.
Yeah.
So take it with a grain of salt. Obviously, it is just here as a sort of base of what to follow. But if your dog only wants to eat the new food, please do not stress it. It's not the end of the world. This is just to sort of give you an idea of where to start.
Yeah, so I will show, if you have come in store, or if you can come in store, we can give you the little cheat sheet card. If you have the workbook, I made up the little cheat sheet card just at the bottom here. So our 7 days typically looks like day 1 and day 2 will be mostly old, a little bit new. Day 3 and 4 will be half and half. Day 5 and 6 will be mostly new, a little bit old, and then day 7 will be completely new. So, like Bailey said, it's just a guide. However slow or fast your pup wants to take it, you can definitely go nice and slow. If your pup is super, super picky, or you have a cat who tend to be a lot pickier, we can even cut it even less. Maybe not 3/4 old, 1/4 new. Maybe we go with all new, a pinch, or all old and a pinch new. When I was transitioning my kitty over to new food, I mixed the tiniest little bit in and like mix it into the food so there was no traces, and slowly bringing in more and more and more and more by like the smidge. If a smidge was a real measurement, that is how much I would increase every day or every couple of days, just by a little smidgen. So if that's what you need to do, then go nice and slow with them. Start off with maybe adding it as just a treat, or giving it as something on top of their meal as just like a little extra topper. Give it in a puzzle if they really enjoy something super entertaining. Make the new food fun. I think that's something that parents do with their kids, is try and make the new food fun. So treat your pets like that. It needs to be fun.
It needs to be exciting. We just have a quick question. They've asked it a couple times. Is Carnilove good for Yorkies? I have never heard of that food.
I've not heard of that one
So I am not sure. Yeah, I don't know. I've never heard of that food.
I haven't heard of that food either. When we haven't heard of a food, we always say to, that's the wrong sheet. We always say just to do the What Grade Is My Kibble worksheet. So we have it in our workbook, or we have it on the website as well, and you can go through What Grade Is My Kibble, making sure that we have meat as the first ingredient. We've got veggies before the salt. We're not no harmful or controversial preservatives. We've got no added color, and our carb count is low, so that we've got really high protein content. So when we're looking at a new food, you can definitely do the What Grade Is My Kibble. You can go back and watch day 1 and 2, which kind of goes through maybe some of the stuff on the outside of the bag, like is it for a puppy or a senior or an adult, and all of the fun things about the outside of the bag, and then some tricks of the bag that different companies might use to make the outside look a little bit better. So we want you to be informed. Making very informed decisions, having you have all the information. Unfortunately, neither of us have heard of Carnilove before, so
we'd have to do some research.
Yeah, we have to check that out. But I haven't heard of that one. I'm not sure if you're located in Canada. Most of the brands that we're familiar with, because we are located in Canada,
are Canadian
companies. Yeah. So if it's not a Canadian company, I'm not sure if we have even seen it in our stores in Regina before, but we'll definitely look into it, and you can too, even reaching out to your to the company. If they are a good company and they're transparent, they'll answer your questions. So we always encourage reaching out to those companies and asking questions on their contact us. Typically they have a little button on their website. So
even on their social media, asking them questions, sometimes they'll get back to you on their socials as well.
Yeah. So again, 7-day guide, just a guideline. Can go a little bit slower, a little bit faster. Like Bailey said, maybe you're putting in the new kibbles and they're picking out the new and totally ignoring the old. That's okay. It's going to be all right. We generally say the transition should be about 7 days, just to give the tummy some time to get used to the new food. If we're going from a kibble to a kibble, sometimes we're not gonna notice super big effects, but if we're going from something super, maybe if we're going from an F grade kibble to an A grade kibble, we might notice a little bit of a digestive difference. Yeah, definitely.
And if at any point in the transition you see anything not great coming out of the back end or anything not great coming out of the front, we stay at that stage until everything clears up, and then we can continue on with the transition.
Yeah.
We don't want anyone having bad stuff going on.
No, not really. We don't want you to have to clean it up out of your house, and we definitely don't want the pets to be... I don't like being sick. I'm sure our pets definitely don't like being sick.
No.
Which nicely transitions to the 3 things that we typically say that you can add if you are noticing stomach upset. And one of the best things that we can add in is goat's milk, which is a natural tummy tamer. So when we're transitioning to something new, adding in those good bacteria to the gut, keeping that gut flora happy and healthy while we're asking it to transition to something new can be really beneficial. If we're kind of going on a bit of a hunger strike, or we're not wanting to eat our other food, adding in some goat milk, or even having goat milk as like a snack before bed, can help with that kind of morning bile throw up of having an empty stomach. The goat milk is something we can like add in to keep the stomach nice and full, and hopefully not produce kind of the early morning.
Yeah, especially good if you're having a really hard time with that transition and they're not really eating a ton of their food. It's nice just to have something in the tummy, just to make sure that we're not getting any of that bile, and it gives you a little bit of peace of mind too that at least they're getting something into their tummy.
Yeah, exactly. Is also a really great like flavor enhancer. Adding in something wet can be really helpful, like goat's milk, to kind of add some flavor, make it new and fun and exciting. It also can change the texture up a little bit. And on that note, you can also add bone broth, which is another kind of flavor enhancer / food texture changer-upper.
I like that. I like that. That was fun. Bone broth is just, we talk about bone broth so
all
much.
The time.
Bone broth is just amazing in general. It's going to help detox the liver. It's going to help do all sorts of awesome things. It's good for their bones and joints. So that's really good if we have a senior pet and we're transitioning our senior pet onto a new food. Giving them something that's also going to be beneficial to them is awesome. We're going to help try and entice them to eat a little bit more, but we're also giving them something that's going to be super good for them. Yeah, definitely. And we can even add in, especially if we're adding in a liquid, we could add in something like Carnivore. We're always touting the Carnivore Flora 4. I should just walk around with them in my pocket. So
and you get some, and you get some. It's a digestive enzyme, so it'll help that digestive system. It's a source of pre and probiotics, and it's also a source of fiber. So we're adding really great things. If we're using goat milk or bone broth to add some flavor, we can add this in. It is a powder, so we want it to be liquid format. We talk all the time that if we're giving powdered supplements or any kind of powder, we want it digested and not inhaled. So we want to make sure it's added to a liquid and not just sprinkled dry on dry.
Yep. This is really good if we're having any bad things coming out the back end. This is going to be really helpful with all that fiber to help sort of put things back together so we're not having any issues. I don't know a good way to say it. If your dog is having diarrhea, this is the best thing that you can give them. It's packed full of fiber. It's going to help get everything sort of back on track. We always recommend adding for that transition.
the goat milk and the 404 kind of together is like a nice little super pack
tummy tamer.
Yeah, that we can add in both a great source of pre and probiotics and a digestive enzyme and fiber and a tummy tamer. We're kind of preparing that gut for the changes, giving it its best chance so that we don't see diarrhea or throwing up, because no pet wants that.
Nobody wants that in general. Nobody wants to clean up puke. Nobody wants to clean up anything else. Tucker puked this morning, and it was not.
Poor Tucker.
Well, it was his own fault. He tried to eat corn on the cob last night.
Oh, okay. So that seems kind of like his fault.
Yeah, it's very on brand. Hi, how's it going?
So next, I wanted to talk about fasting. So we did talk about what happens if my pet wants to just eat the new stuff and they don't want to eat the old stuff. That's okay for dogs. So when we say my dog's fasting, my dog doesn't want to eat the old stuff, or they don't want to eat at all now, can my dog miss a meal? They can. They can miss a meal and be okay. Dogs are able to fast and go for short periods of time without eating. Again, we can add in like a goat milk or something to make sure that they are still getting some food, still having that tummy full of something. But it's okay if we're having a little bit of like a hunger strike, if you don't give me my old stuff, I won't be eating anything kind of mentality, which can happen, especially if we're feeding a grade F food that's super high in carbs. I'm gonna grab the jars for you guys, which we show off all the time. I forget what Carly calls them. Pellets of ick, something like that. Carly always calls them, but traditional kibble, grade F kibble, is gonna be about 75%, 60 to 70% carbs. So if we're looking at 5 cups of dry food, we're looking at 2/3 of that is going to be carbs. Carbs turn to sugar. Sugar both feeds disease and is also addicting. So, I mean, sugar addiction is something that I think a lot of us struggle with. I love a good chocolate bar, or 5. And so our pets go through, let me set these down here. Our pets can go through the same thing. So if we're noticing that our pet is rejecting the new stuff, especially if we're going from something super highly processed and super packed with carbs to a less processed, higher protein, lower carb food, we can notice this sugar addiction take effect. I definitely noticed this with my kitties. I was feeding them a not so great wet food, a junk wet food to my one cat, Alex, and as I transitioned him to a more whole food, better for him canned option, even though it was still canned, he went through some growing pains getting to that new food. He definitely was addicted to that high carb, super sugary food that I was feeding him. So that can definitely happen. We can definitely have our pets go through a bit of a strike, a bit of a hunger strike, as they're coming down from that sugar high. Then that leads into, can my cat go on a hunger strike? Is that okay? No. So kitties should not be fasting. Cats can't fast in the same way dogs do. Cats are designed to be hunting many mice a day and eating constantly and catching and sleeping and eating and catching and sleeping and eating. So our cats, we can't have them fast, so we need to make sure that they are getting meals at least every 12 hours. 12 hours is kind of the magic-ish number between meals. After that, they get a I forget the term for it, but it's like a hyperacidity in the gut, where their gut kind of goes super acidic, which can cause something similar to like acid reflux. Hyperacidity, when we're experiencing acid reflux, we notice the burn. That's that acid burning our esophagus, basically. And so we don't want our cats to have that super hyperacidic, because that's going to do damage to the internal digestive system. So we want to make sure our kitties are eating. That's why I said I did a smidge of new food every time, because if I went full cold turkey or I did half and half, he would only eat the half that he was used to. Kitties are picky. Kitties, they are the boss. of their lives and your lives, and they'll do what they want to do. So we have to kind of trick them into eating it, like mixing in a pea into mashed potatoes for our kids, which my mom used to do for me, mix in those veggies into the buttery mashed potatoes and hope for the best. That's what we got to do for our kitties, is mix it in so they don't notice it, and slowly but surely work up to it. So, long story short, dogs can fast. It's okay if they miss a couple of meals. Kitties cannot. They need to be eating every 12 hours, which can make the cat transition a little bit harder. It takes a lot more time, a lot more patience, but they'll get there. I promise. It took me months to get Alex off of the junk, and he is now. He's good. You know, he'll still scream at me for rabbit. That is true. He gets the delicacies of the raw food, but it'll come. Just gotta be patient. Sometimes go slow. Do a couple of tricks like adding in some flavor enhancers like goat milk, bone broth, a bit of fiber for having tummy issues. But all of those hopefully will help in that transition.
We are located in Regina, Saskatchewan, in Canada. Just answering the question, Daniel. We are in Canada.
Yeah,
we're in lovely Regina.
Yeah, so if you are in Regina, come check us out. We are on the far east end of Regina, just off Chuka Boulevard. If you are also in Canada, we do countrywide shipping across Canada. Unfortunately, right now we don't do international shipping, but hopefully soon. Keep
those darn shipping people.
Dang that border. I don't understand it. I don't.
It makes no sense.
Too many regulations. There's too many things. I don't understand it, and we're trying to understand it so we can open back up U.S. shipping. But Canada-wide, we can definitely do. If you are somewhere else in Canada, we can ship off some goodies to you. If you're in Regina, you can either come to our store or order online for pickup or local delivery. So if you're in the Regina area, we can definitely deliver out to you. But yeah, I don't know where you are, but we're in Canada. What did I want to talk about next? So,
got you off track a little bit.
Yeah,
you were talking about transitioning Alex.
And how picky he is.
Yes.
But I could talk about that forever, and he could scream at you forever on that. But we will move into
Alex.
The main reason people switch their food is to see positive results or to meet some sort of goal. Maybe they do have a senior pet and you really want to boost that kind of bone and joint support. How long until you see those positive effects? That's kind of my next go around, and I'd say it depends.
It does depend.
Sorry, I don't have a timeline. I don't have a date where you're gonna all of a sudden see these positive effects. You're gonna see the coat get shinier and the digestion kind of get better, or your older pet is jumping back up and down off the furniture. Kind of all depends.
Again, we say this all the time. Everyone's pet is different.
Yeah.
Everyone's pet is going to respond to a new food differently. Mm-hmm. Everyone's pet is going to do things at their own pace when they feel like it. And there's no sort of general timeline of what to expect.
Yeah, that leads into a detox period. So if we are coming from a really, really F grade kibble to an A grade kibble, we can experience kind of like a detox period. So it can look like we're getting worse before we get better again. So we might notice some upset stomach. We might notice some extra kind of yeasty smell or some like super Cheeto paws instead of just normal Cheeto paws. And this detox period is just the body getting used to something new. It's the body getting rid of all of that gick and guck that was built up from the old food and getting used to something a little bit higher in protein, a little bit less carbs. We're not having to digest cups and cups of sugar anymore.
Yeah.
So it's going to take a little bit of time to notice that difference, especially if we are going through kind of a detox. Hold out hope. It's going to get worse before it gets better. But that kind of is my caveat to positive effects.
It would be similar to if we ate McDonald's every single day, mm-hmm. and all of a sudden we were like, I'm going to start eating salad. Your body would be like, what is this green stuff that you're feeding me? What is happening? Mm-hmm. And you would probably have some digestive upset. And so it's sort of the same thing with your pets. We're going from that ultra processed to something that is much healthier and cleaner for them, and it's just going to take their body a little bit of time to get used to, like, oh, hey, this is actually something that's good for me, and their body doesn't need to digest it the same way because it's not as processed. So it's just, that's really the only way I can describe it. It's like us eating McDonald's every single day.
Yep. And that is the same kind of analogy that we use for transitioning too, where if you're eating McDonald's every day and then someone takes you to a salad bar, you're probably going to wait until you can go through the McDonald's drive-thru again. You're probably not going to have the salad bar. But if somebody said, oh, here is a side salad to your McDonald's, you'd probably like go for it a little bit, and then eventually you get used to this new food, this new thing. Same with our pets. Just takes a little bit of time. If we just introduce them to the salad bar, probably going to put their nose up because they're used to what they're getting prior. Mm-hmm. But, you know, slow and steady. Every good step is a good step. We're not backpedaling any. We always talk about any fresh is better than no fresh. Any hydration is better than no hydration. Any step in the right direction is a step in the right direction.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I mean, even if we've had some people who transition their dog to a food and everything's fine and dandy for 2-3 months, mm-hmm. and then all of a sudden their dog is like, no, don't want to eat this anymore. And it happens. Mm-hmm. There's so many good quality foods out there that you don't have to be tied down to just one. Mm-hmm. I rotate between Open Farm, Honest Kitchen, Carnivore. With my dogs, we rotate between all 3 of them so that I know that if one day they're like, nope, listen here, lady, don't want this food anymore, I know that I have other options that I've already gotten them used to, and I don't have to worry about them being snotty.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't worry about them being snotty.
Yeah, that moves perfectly into, can I rotate proteins? Can I rotate brands? Can I mix things?
Oh, it's like
yes.
I read your mind.
You did read my mind. And
yes, that's why we're so good doing the lives. We read the minds.
Exactly. We get each other off track, but at least we're both on the same track that's not on track. But yeah, you can definitely, I know we get a lot of people who come in and say, oh, well, I'm on this food and I'd like to change to the different protein. Do I need to continue to transition? No, once we're on a brand, we're on a brand, and we can rotate through that brand. We have people who pets are very picky, like Bailey's dogs, like my kitties, who need that brand rotation, who need to go from Carnivore to Open Farm to Honest Kitchen. I go from Primal to Big Country Raw to Bold by Nature. So rotating those brands is awesome. Not only are you helping with food fatigue, which is being tired of what you're eating, but you're also making sure that, you know, I don't like to be the pessimist, but if one of the brands you're feeding recalls all of their food or they go totally out of business,
then you're in my mind. That's what I was just going to say. If one of the brands, and it's the only brand you feed, and all of a sudden they're like closing down all of our business, you know that you have something else that your pets will eat. You're not standing there going, oh my gosh, they've gone out of business. Mm-hmm. Now I don't know what to feed my pets. I don't have enough food to do a transition. What am I going to do? Yep. You know that you have these other foods that your pet likes and is comfortable with, and you don't have to stress. Or even if you're going on vacation somewhere, and you run out of food while you're away with your pet, not every pet store carries the same brands of food. Yeah. So at least if you have that's sort of different brands that you can rotate through, you don't have to stress about things. Yeah, exactly. No, that's a really good point. We have a lot of people who travel, whether they go down south a lot of the time, and they're like, okay, so most of your brands are Canadian, and I'm going to the U.S. What can I get there while I'm there for a couple of months? So Open Farm. That's a really great option. We have it here. It's also available in the U.S. Honest Kitchen's available in the U.S. So having that rotation of brands, I never thought of it that way. So that's an awesome way to put it. You have variety no matter what happens. Maybe your flight's delayed and you brought enough food for a week, and now oh no, we're stuck here now for a little bit. Yeah, you never know if you're flying Sunwing. You never know how long your flight's going to be delayed. So knowing that you have those different brands that you can feed, obviously we always say we support Canadian brands. We love Canadian brands, but there's some brands that out there that we carry that are in the States, and we love them just as much as we love our Canadian brands. And it's great if we're going on vacation to the States and we're taking our furry friend with us. We know then at least that there's some food that we can still get.
Yeah, definitely.
Especially now that we can't ship there.
Yeah, exactly. Unfortunately. But rotating proteins is also awesome. Whether you're rotating within your brand, I know with my kitties, I change brand and protein each week because, oh my gosh, the crying that happens in my house if I feed the same thing multiple times. I've got a freezer full of different options so I can pick out something new each time. I love my cats, okay? I really do. They boss me around. But having multiple proteins in rotation is awesome, both because it prevents that food fatigue. Maybe you have a really whiny, cryy pet at home who insists on something new every time. You have that option to give them something new. And it also, every protein has a different mineral, vitamin, amino acid count in it. So when you're feeding a fish formula, you're feeding a little bit fattier with some better omegas and omega-3s and 6s in it. If you're feeding a venison, you're probably feeding something a little bit leaner. If we're feeding a chicken, we're feeding something kind of middle of the road. So it's like I always talk about that if I just ate oats every single day for every single meal, I would not have a full, complete diet because oats have a different amino acid buildup than my favorite tofu. So I have to mix in different things into my diet to make sure that I'm getting all of the goodies from all of the different sources. So we want to do the same thing for our pets, so we're giving them an array of options. So if the fish is lacking in something or the pork is lacking in something, we're balancing them out by feeding them in rotation.
And if you have a pet who is like Ace and doesn't like fish, you can still add omegas into their diet.
Yeah.
If you have a pet that doesn't want to eat those fish and you're like, oh my goodness, now I'm missing out on these omegas, you can be adding that omega into the diet. You can be supplementing it. It doesn't necessarily have to be, you have to find a fish food to make sure that we're getting those omegas in. We can definitely be supplementing with something if your pet does not like fish, because Ace will not participate in eating fish.
Yep, Essie's the same way. Alex, whole sardine is, Essie, no way. Chicken neck all the way. No fishiness. But that runs into day 5. So day 5, if you tune in tomorrow, we'll talk all about the boosting your bowl, all about adding things in. That's a really great case that if we remember and stay on track, we can bring up again tomorrow. Will we remember?
We'll see.
We'll remember? I don't know.
It's really hit or miss with us. We just never know.
But yeah, so rotating in proteins and brands is awesome. Then that's my last point on my sheet is rotation, just because transition doesn't have to be a all or nothing thing. Especially if you have right now a grade A kibble and you're really happy with your kibble and it's working really great for your pet, but all of a sudden we're talking about rotating and you're thinking, oh my gosh, you're right, my pet only eats the one thing and that's it. We can do this transition, we can add in some more food without having to give up the other stuff. Like baby, you can rotate between different brands, but we would still want to do kind of a bit of a transition to begin with while we're introducing something new. Once the body's used to it, once our pet is used to it, then go for it. Go do whatever you like, be a mad scientist in the bowl, but doing that slower transition, adding in goat milk and digestive aids can be helpful in that transition.
Yep. For example, we started off with open farm. We did open farm for about 6 months. And then we transitioned to carnivore. We've been doing carnivore for, I want to say 4 months now. And we used the Honest Kitchen as a topper. And so now we've tried all these different things, and because we did a full transition to both of those, I can go back and forth between them because their body's used to it. The big thing with rotating through the proteins as well is we're less likely to end up with sensitivities and intolerances if we're rotating through those different proteins. If we're feeding chicken every single day, we are way more likely for our pet to end up with a sensitivity or an intolerance to chicken.
Yeah.
And especially when we're feeding like more of a commercial grade kibble, everything has chicken in it.
Yep. Yep.
So
we talked yesterday about hidden chicken too. So if we're feeding a lamb
that
and
hidden
rice
chicken
food, there could be chicken hidden in there.
So making sure that we're rotating that protein is just a way to make sure that we aren't ending up with those sensitivities and intolerances. And then it just makes it easier to feed our pet. If we feed the same thing forever and then all of a sudden our pet has an intolerance to chicken, now we have to try introducing something new, and it can be a little bit harder when they've had the same thing for years.
Yeah.
So that's just something to keep in mind as well when we're talking about even just rotating through those proteins. It's just, it can be pretty helpful for your pets.
Yeah, and I did have something else I wanted to talk about because I read through the workbook again, and I have a little spot here where you can put your pet's favorite proteins and textures. Because I wanted to touch that when we're moving to something new, keeping something the same can be really helpful. If we like fish, if we hate fish, we'll work around that. If we really like fish, maybe we try a fish in the new food because we have something normal, something regular, something that's not going to be super shocking. If we have a pet who hates fish and we know this, we're not going to
give them fish.
We're not going to buy the fish food in the new formula because we're just setting our pet up for failure. So, and if we have a pet who likes something maybe a little bit softer or something that has a little bit of moisture in it, we can keep those textures the same. If
we like more of a crunch.
Yep, exactly. Or if we like to have our food in like, some pets like to have their food kind of crumbled up or like crushed up a little bit, and you're trying to feed a food that you can't crunch up, maybe trying a different option is best for you. So if we can keep some textures or some proteins the same, we're introducing a smaller change than if we chose something totally different. If we're feeding a turkey food with really tiny soft kibbles and we move to a fish food with giant kibbles and it's super stinky, we're throwing them into the deep end. We want to start in the shallow end, little steps, and that includes little steps into new proteins, new textures, and that's what I did for my cat. I mean, he hated me for the time that we were transitioning, but I did start with the fishy foods that he liked. I started with the pâtés because he was on a pâté, and then I slowly introduced him to more chunky things. So that's what I mean here by what are my pet's favorite proteins and textures, just to keep in your mind, maybe you write down hates fish or hates chicken, and then you know that in the new food maybe we stay away from that.
I'm having a brain fart. I also just wanted to say, don't take Lee's experience and say, oh my goodness, every pet is going to be like, I don't want to eat my food, this is awful.
Yeah.
Every time, Ace does not count in this conversation. Every time I have done a transition with Sam and Tucker, they have been like, oh, there's food in our bowl, we'll eat this. Not everyone's pet is going to be super, super picky. Not everyone's pet is going to say, I'm not going to eat this food, what is wrong with you? Both of my dogs are super easy when we've done transitions. They just gobble up whatever is in their bowl.
Yeah.
Every time I introduce something new into the bowl, they're like, well, okay, it smells like food, we'll eat it. So
sometimes pets are carburetors. Unfortunately, mine aren't, but hopefully yours are. There is a large quantity of pets who are carburetors, and I mean, you have a golden, and I feel like goldens kind of are like very like chillax. They're like, whatever, man. Something else in my
bowl, cool.
Nice. It's breakfast. I feel like that's what I like about goldens.
Tucker also is very food motivated, so if there is food, he is happy. He acts like we starve him. Do not be fooled. He is very well fed. He's just a drama queen. Big time drama queen.
Yes, which can be some pets where they're drama queens. We get a lot of people come in and say, I tried this, and we're like, oh no, it didn't work out. How long did you try it? 1 meal, a couple of days. Well, your pet has you wrapped around their paw. This happens a lot. My kitties know that if they whine at me in the morning, I'll go, oh my gosh, my partner didn't feed them. I have to feed them again. They'll do that. Pets are too smart for their own good. And, you know, we have to show them that, you know, we mean business.
The amount of times Jason and I have double fed the dogs because one of us has gotten up before the other, and then the dogs scam us into thinking that they haven't been fed, and the other person feeds them, and then they're like,
ha ha ha, we did it. We knew that if we whined enough, you wouldn't be able to resist. So yes, our pets can be picky and it can take time, or they could be carburetors. Like we said at the very beginning, every pet is different. Just gonna have to navigate your own unique situation and your own pet, but we want to keep you guys rest assured that if you do want to transition, there is a will. If there's a will, there's a way.
Yep.
They will transition eventually. We just have to be consistent. We have to, you know, go nice and slow for those picky ones, and
just some take longer than others. It's a marathon, not a race. We don't need to rush.
We're getting really philosophical.
I know, we've got some
There's a will, there's a way. It's a marathon, not a race.
I know.
I love it.
We're good. I like it. But back on track.
Oh no, yes. Back to the train station. Here we are, talking about transitioning. And I think that's all that I really wanted to cover today.
I think so. I don't really have anything else. I think the big thing is just sort of sticking with the transition. Even if your pet is acting super picky, don't give up. It can be hard, but if you stick with it, I promise that you will end up with your pet on a better quality food. And
So we hope that, you know, the last 4 days have been helpful in kind of parsing out the kind of pet food industry and the aisles and the choices and the bags and all the things. Because tomorrow we're going to talk about how to boost your bowl. So regardless of what we're feeding, we always talk about a boosted bowl, keeping that bowl like full of all the goodness, because any bit of goodness is better than no goodness. So we can always be adding something, we can always be improving the bowl. So tomorrow we're going to talk about how to boost things,
which is good because I think we're both like the mad scientists.
Oh yeah,
of
definitely.
The bowls. So I think we'll have lots to talk about. We will get off topic.
Oh yes,
for sure tomorrow.
I hope you want to talk
more than once.
I hope you want to talk about our 5 pets combined, because that will be tomorrow, talking all about how we create up our pets' bowls, which is awesome. Billy's got 3 dogs. I got 2 kitties, so we've got kind of a nice broad spectrum of bowl boosting that we can talk about tomorrow.
Little dogs, big dogs.
Yeah,
we got it all.
2 same-sized cats. I'm sorry. I don't have a giant cat at home.
How dare you?
I know, right?
How dare you?
Totally want that. But so tomorrow, that's what we'll be talking about. Again, if you missed anything today or anything throughout the week, we'll have this uploaded to YouTube for you guys to take a look at. We are also answering questions on Instagram too. If you have anything, you can give us a call, send us an email. If you have any questions about anything ever, totally reach out. Bailey's going to double check the questions, make sure we didn't miss anything up top.
Okay. I'm so sorry. I'm like, it's like there's an earthquake.
I know. Every time I touch the TikTok side, I'm like, ugh, it's on like a.
Can you recommend a good, safe dog shampoo?
So we have Black Sheep Organics is a great dog shampoo, all clean ingredients, really minimal. So we want to make sure that we're
them.
We
love
really
Black
do.
Sheep Organic.
Yeah, they're awesome. They have toothpaste. They have a bunch of different lines of things. When we're picking out a shampoo, we want to have kind of the same scrutiny that we have with our shampoo. We're using it instead of just on our heads, we're using it all over their bodies. So we want to make sure that we're picking a shampoo that isn't going to be full of any harmful chemicals or unnecessary scents and perfumes, because that can sometimes be irritating. So just like with pet food, transparency is important, being informed is important, and if you ever have any questions about ingredients that your pet shampoo is using, reach out to the company and see what they say, because if they're reputable, if they're transparent, they'll answer those for you.
Can you please do a review on Go Solutions Kibble? I personally don't know a whole lot about Go.
No, I don't know a ton about Go. I have seen Go. It is here in Canada, in Saskatchewan. I have seen it on shelves. Yep. But I haven't done any real digging into it. I'd say with the Go brand, we'd want to do what grade is my kibble 2,
Yep.
go through kind of what grade does it stand in. Do we have meat as the first ingredient? Are the veggies before the salt? Is there any harmful preservatives or any added color? And what is the carb count? Because we want something really high in protein and low in carbs. So that's what I would do. And then again, transparent company, reach out if you have any questions to them and see what they say.
This question that I see here, we get a lot of our information from Dr. Becker. We
Yep.
love Dr. Karen Becker.
Dr. Rodney Habib.
Dogs Naturally. We get a lot of information from there.
Dr. Young.
Yep. I would say if there's research that you want to look into, going on social media and following any of them is a great source of information. They have awesome tips and tricks and all the stuff that they share, as well as Dr. Becker and Dr. Habib have a book together.
Yes, they do. The Forever Dog, which is an awesome book. They always have all of their research linked, so you can always check out all the peer-reviewed research that they provide on their website as well. So that's really important. We're all about transparency, so we want to make sure that everyone is transparent about the sources of the research that they're getting. So definitely always recommend people to check those doctors out.
Yes.
Doctors, vets. They have doctor before their name, so I don't know. I mean, they're animal doctors. Very important.
Yes.
Very much appreciate our vets and all the work they do for our pets. So definitely give those guys a follow or check them out if you have any very pressing research questions.
And that's all the questions.
All right.
So I think we're done.
I think we're good to go. Hopefully we answered everything. Sorry if we missed you. If we did miss you, definitely reach out on Instagram and ask your questions, or send us an email or anything like that. But yeah, we're very happy to be on day 4. We had a great week so far. We hope you guys have been enjoying our 3rd Hop University. And yeah, thanks so much for spending some of your Thursday. Tomorrow will be our typical Furry Friday, but it'll also be the last day. Oh my gosh, before we go, tomorrow.
Oh, geez.
I will have the final exam open and ready. Right before we start, I will activate the final exam link so that you can go in and do your final exam either with us that day. I'll probably go through some of the questions. I can't show you. I'll probably go through some of the questions.
Don't open it.
The last page is the answer key. So if you want to do the quiz and not know the answers, don't look at the last page. But I have the answer key at the back. That will be live tomorrow before our class. No pressure, just a fun little review thing, and I was just super excited to do an exam for a university semester, which seemed fitting. But yeah, thank you so much, you guys, for hanging out with us, and you will see Bailey and I tomorrow at 2 o'clock. There shouldn't be any orders coming in.
2-ish.
2-ish, hopefully at 2 o'clock sharp. But yeah, check us out tomorrow, and thanks, guys, for tuning in. We'll
Have
see
a
you
good
again.
one.
Bye.